Last year, Redmi launched a mid-range phone with a very powerful chipset called the Redmi Note 12 Turbo. This phone had a Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2 and was launched outside the Chinese market as the Poco F5. Well, the company is now going to launch the successor of that phone, but it will not be called the Redmi Note 13 Turbo. Instead, Redmi has announced a whole new smartphone series called Turbo. And this upcoming phone is called the Redmi Turbo 3. It is interesting that this is the first phone under this series and yet the name is Turbo 3. The phone is expected to launch outside the Chinese market as the Poco F6 later this year. Anyways, the launch is happening on the 10th of April in the Chinese market, and as Redmi always does, it has shared the official images of the phone, giving us our very first look at the design. So as we can see, the Redmi Turbo 3 comes in 3 color options: black, green and gold. The phone has 2 big circles on the back for the 2 cameras, and the third circle has the LED flash. Since there is no camera island on the back design of this phone looks pretty clean. The sides are flat and the phone has a plastic frame, which is pretty evident from the lack of any antenna lines. While these official images do not reveal the front design, we know that the Redmi Turbo 3 has a flat display on the front with a hole punch cutout and very minimal bezels. Redmi has also revealed the chipset that will power this phone. No, it is not the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3. Instead, the Redmi Turbo 3 is powered by the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3. This chipset was announced last month, and simply put, this SoC sits between the 8 Gen 2 and 8 Gen 3 in terms of performance. It is quite impressive to see a mid-range smartphone with such a powerful chipset. In fact, this is going to be the main USP of this Redmi Turbo series going forward. As for the benchmark scores, the Redmi Turbo 3 scores around 1.65 million points on AnTuTu benchmark. If we talk about the AnTuTu score of Poco F5 or Redmi Note 12 Turbo, then it was a little over 1.1 million. So we can already see how big of an improvement there is in terms of performance. It is also worth mentioning that the Poco X6 Pro with its Dimensity 8300 Ultra scores around 1.4 million points. On Geekbench, the single core score of Redmi Turbo 3 is almost 2000, while the multi-core score is over 5400. Again, these are some big upgrades over the last year's Poco F5 or this year's Poco X6 Pro. The Poco F5 and the Poco X6 Pro can barely reach around 4500 points on multi-core, whereas the Redmi Turbo 3 with its Snapdragon 8S Gen 3 goes over 5400. It shows how powerful this mid-range phone actually is. Finally, the company has also revealed that the phone will feature a variant with 16GB of RAM and up to 1TB storage, at least in the Chinese market. And well, that is all we know so far. There isn't much information on the rest of the specifications, but the launch is not far, so we will get to know more very soon. Anyways, what do you think of the Redmi Turbo 3? Would you like to see this phone launching outside the Chinese market? Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.